me to lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all join me facing the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, they said I could have a few minutes to say a word while I was up here. Anybody run for office, when you get a microphone, you take advantage of it. So if you'll bear with me. I'm so excited today, and I have to tell you, I come here full of hope. And it's a hope that I have despite all the troubles and challenges we're facing in this country, and we're facing in this state. It's a hope that comes from knowing that God's in charge. And knowing that He promised us in 2 Chronicles 7:14 that if we'll turn back to Him, that He'll heal our land. So I believe that. So that gives me hope. And that tells me that today, this year is going to be a great year, not just for North Carolina, but for this country. And what we're going to do here in North Carolina is we're going to reverse 4 years of failure by getting a new governor and a new president. I've already read it. We've got someone representing us in Congress who has failed and who has told us one thing at home and gone to Washington and done something else. And so with your help, we're also going to send Larry Kissel home. Larry Kissel, I'll tell you a little bit about him. Pretty nice fellow if you've ever met him. And I believe him when he says he went to Washington to be an independent voice. But somewhere along the way he got lost. It started with him voting for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. And then he voted for this failed idea called a stimulus. We know what happened there. They took a lot of our tax money and they spent it on things like this new Washington, D.C. term they call road renourishment. That's a Washington, D.C. term for filling potholes. And then they took some money and gave it to a company called Solyndra. You heard what happened there. And they actually did create some jobs, though. There was some good news. They created jobs in China with your tax dollars. And so that was a bad idea. And it's an idea that Larry Kissel supported, and it's an idea that he's going to have to answer for. Now, if you were following the news in the last couple of weeks, they had a whole meeting over in Charlotte. President Obama was there. But Larry Kissel didn't show up. He said that he was too independent to go to this convention, even though he voted 89% with Obama throughout his career. And he said, I voted against Obamacare, but he didn't tell you that he voted for it twice before he voted against it. And so I don't even know how it would go if you use the old John Kerry line. He was for it before he was against it, before he was for it, before he was against it. And that's not good enough. We need leaders who are going to go to Congress and stand up for our values. And I pledge to you, if you give me the opportunity, I'll go up there and I'll fight every single day. I'll fight for freedom. I'll fight for true prosperity that only comes from free people being able to have commerce that's open without government interference. I had an opportunity recently to go down to Tampa and speak at the RNC convention. Some of y'all were there. It was described by some as the best 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the entire convention. Of course, those describing that were my mother and my grandfather. Anyway, it was a great opportunity for me, and I jumped at the chance because what it enabled me to do was shed some light on real people right here at home who are suffering right now. There are people suffering under the policies of this president. Some of the examples I gave, I talked about a woman from Thomasville who told me that she was supporting 2 men at home. Her husband had been laid off, and her son had just graduated college and couldn't find a job. And you hear that over and over, because right now 50% of college graduates can't find a job in their field. That's just terrible. The other story I told in Tampa was about a home builder I met in Monroe who told me that he didn't see any prospect for profit in his company on the horizon. What he was doing was taking any job he could get, whether it was repair work or small jobs, just so he wouldn't have to lay off any more of his crew. Just trying to meet payroll. Small business people are really struggling out there, and it's because of the policies of this president. And I talk to people in every different field, whether it's healthcare or construction or whatever your small business is, and they almost plead. They're like, Why do I have to struggle to get around the barriers put up by the government just to do my job? And it's despicable. And there's got to be a change. And the only way to change the direction we're going is to change the leaders. And so that's what we've got to do this year. And I truly believe we can do it. And I wanted to say a little bit about Pat McCrory. I know as much about Pat as anybody, I think. I've worked with him for years. When I was district director for Robin Hayes, he was mayor of Charlotte. We worked on a lot of regional projects together. I got to see him in a lot of closed-door meetings. I've seen Pat in one-on-one meetings. I've seen him giving speeches. And I can tell you he's the same authentic person in every situation. You look at the failed leadership in the last 12 years in the state. We've had the last two governors have not had a vision for North Carolina. And the Bible says when there is no vision, people perish. And so where Beverly Perdue and Walter Dalton don't have a vision for North Carolina, I know that Pat McCrory has that vision. And where Bev Perdue and Walter Dalton have failed to lead all these years, I know because there's record that Pat McCrory is going to lead us. And I know that rather than what Walter Dalton offers, which is more of the corruption and more of the waste and more of kicking the can down the road, Pat McCrory is going to bring in a new tomorrow for North Carolina, a prosperous tomorrow, a tomorrow that looks to the future with vision. And that's why I'm so excited about Pat McCrory. That's why I'm so excited all of you come out here today to support him. Just to wrap it up, I'm going to tell you a story. I've never told anybody about this, but 4 years ago I was Pat McCrory's campaign manager. And election night wasn't the best night of my career, I can tell you. It was a rough night. And I was one of the probably 10 or 12 people that was in a conference room at the hotel with Pat. And I was doing the math, and the early vote came in and it was tough. Y'all remember it was a rough night. Because they outworked us in early voting. And so the numbers came in tough. We saw that Senator Dole lost. And we were trying to figure out the math to see how it was going to work for us to make up those votes. And as each major city came in, the numbers weren't looking good. And finally, I got the numbers in from Asheville, and I knew there just weren't going to be enough votes to make it up. And so I said, Pat, it looks like you're not going to make it. And you probably need to go up to your hotel room and collect your thoughts. And so he left, and I gave him a few minutes. And then I went up to the room, and it was his wife and me and Jack off. And I said, Pat, you got some time. I said, because the networks haven't even called the race yet. And so just take your time. And he said, no, I want to go out there now so I can get out of the way so Beverly Perdue can go on live at 11 o'clock news. So here's a guy, probably arguably one of the worst career nights of his life, and his concern was being a gentleman and doing the right thing. And so that's the kind of person I want to be our governor. And I think you'll agree with me. It's not a foregone conclusion, and it's not going to be easy. But what it means is that the challenge falls on every single one of us. We've got to go out there and walk the neighborhoods. We've got to put out the yard signs. We need you down at the victory office making phone calls. We need you to send an email to everybody in your address book listing who our judicial candidates are, like Paul Newby, so people know who to vote for. I'm counting on every single one of you to do that. And I'll leave you with that challenge. Commit your time and get out there and make a difference. Volunteer at our victory offices, work on one of our campaigns, but do something because the stakes are so high. And the choice before us is to continue down the path we're going, continue down that failed leadership, the direction of just wasting money, of driving us towards less and less freedom, or we can put people in office who have vision, like Mitt Romney, and like Pat McCrory, the next governor of North Carolina. So let's go out there and get it done. Thank you.
We have, of course, everybody here today is a VIP, but only a handful have their name on my piece of